68 hours, 200,000 steps, and my entire sanity is all it took to make this video. But how did I end up here? Why did I do this whole thing to begin with? Growing up, I was mystified by all the hidden treasures that resided in Final Fantasy VI. I freaked out when I stumbled upon the hidden treasures in Mount Colts. I had to call my cousin immediately, and his response was, yeah, but there's also 2 hidden treasures in South Figaro in the basement. So needless to say, when the magic of the internet was gifted to me and I learned that there were treasures in the floor of the sealed gate cave, I was completely blown away. So does that mean that there are other hidden items and random spots in the floor of Final Fantasy VI? That's what we're gonna find out today. So decades later, playing the Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster, I set out to do the unthinkable, the unimaginable, the frankly really stupid. I checked every single walkable tile in the entire game. Now I know what you're asking, Leonard, why would you do this? There are plenty of guides that mention every single treasure, and more importantly, if you play the Pixel Remaster, it lists every single treasure. And I gotta stop you there. I did this for 10-year-old me. No matter how stupid it is, I gotta do it. For him. Look at that face. He always wanted to know. So I made up a few ground rules along the way. Rule number 1, check every single tile, and then check every single tile in the world of Ruin. I figure treasure chests get upgraded later on, so theoretically, so do hidden items. That's my logic anyway. And rule number 2, there are no dialogue boxes on the world map, so I can rule out anything being hidden there. Go ahead and play the game yourself. Not one dialogue box. Thinking back on rule number 1, it's kind of a dumb idea because, I mean, how would I know to check the world of Ruin for the treasure chest unless that I knew it was already... Let's just get started. So I started the Pixel Remaster and got good and comfy because I figured at minimum this would be at least a 50-hour journey. And, well, I was close. With all sorts of snacks and drinks, I began the game and searched the caves in the beginning and found, well, nothing. I kinda expected that. I searched through Arvis's house and found nothing. I got all the way to Mount Colts and found nothing. This is the point where already I started losing hope. And sanity, but mainly the hope part. But I knew I had to keep going. For little tiny baby me, so like fake nails I pressed onward, hoping I find something. And then it happened. I got to the cave of the sealed gate, and that's when I made the biggest revelation of this whole process. The items in the ground were highlighted. No, I told myself. That means unless there's some marker in the ground of each location, there's absolutely nothing anywhere. I should have heeded this warning, but I did not, and then I proceeded to go to the floating continent and then beyond.
Starting out, I was a hopeful man. I had a plan with a whole bunch of snack food. Looked at a photograph of my young self, and I knew this whole thing was real bad too. I guess I fell asleep right here. Well, that's unfortunate, but in the end, I completed the challenge. And I'll admit it was... Oh. The song's over. It's just a huge waste of time, this whole thing was.
Reaching Kefka's tower, I kinda knew. I knew that this journey was fruitless, but I was almost done. All of the aggravation and long nights pressing a button on every tile was about to come to a close, and that's when I realized I did it. As stupid as it was, I did it. At the end of the day, I got to spend nearly 70 hours with my favorite game, something I haven't done in over 20 years. I found time in my schedule to play games like I hadn't since I was, well, that 10-year-old with nothing better to do. So with that in mind, I started thinking of other stupid challenges that I can do, and I've got a few ideas lined up, but I wanted to know, is there any ridiculous challenge in the Final Fantasy series that you've always wanted to know but didn't want to ruin your time or brain trying them? Let me know. I think I might try to make like a little series out of doing these things, but I'm not so sure yet. And lastly, if you know someone trying to get into the Final Fantasy series and maybe they have some questions, go ahead and send them over here real quick. I might have already answered them.